Hey, what's up, guys? It's Overjust over here, coming at you with some StarCraft II. Now, most of the time, whenever you think of high-level StarCraft II, we are thinking of the Premier League players. These are going to be your zergs like Dark and Serral and Raynor, your Terran players like Bjorn, Cure, and Clem. But today, we aren't going to be looking at any Premier level StarCraft II. We are going to be looking at more Major and Minor League StarCraft II. Today, we have two semi-professional StarCraft II players. One of them is going to be our red Chinese Terran player. He is going to be playing for Invictus Gaming. It is XY. And our Zerg player, hailing from the land of Vietnam, it is our blue player. It is MeomaikA. That second player intro was a little bit awkward, but we are going to roll with it. Now, it's a standard Reaper expand coming from our Terran player. Gonna see the Hellions coming out for our Terran. Meanwhile, we got a third base. We got a Roach Warren coming out for our Zerg player. Now, one thing about MeomaikA is that he loves to play aggressively. He loves to really take the game and take control of it. He likes to get that map control, really put you in a weird position where you don't know quite what to do. Now, a player like myself would definitely be thrown off of my game. MeomaikA would definitely be able to take me by surprise and absolutely destroy me. But today we're watching the game between MeomaikA and XY, and we'll be able to see if XY can hold strong against MeomaikA's really aggressive nature. Now these four Hellions being on top of the ramp and being ready to defend was a brilliant move from XY. We have the Banshee and Cloak coming out, so we have our own aggressive potential. And these Hellions might be able to move out and make some things happen. However, following the Banshee, we see some Roaches being sent across the map. This is what I was talking about. MeomaikA really wants to be aggressive, really wants to take control of the pace of this game, but with the Banshee out and the defense of this front door, with the two bunkers, wow, XY really respecting MeomaikA's playstyle and really going for what was essentially the perfect counter to it. Now, MeomaikA cannot be counted out in this position. He is ahead in workers. And so far has not taken any damage. That Banshee would have loved to get some kills on the other side of the map, but instead it was forced to sit at home and kill roaches instead. Now, that's definitely not a bad thing, but it's definitely also not what XY wanted to do. What he wanted to do was rush across the map and get these things done here on this side of the map. Not that, however, we see a Banshee going down. And that one just being sent home, a little bit shaken by the loss of her sister. Already, though, we have a macro game. It is a very solid one. MeomaikA going up to 4 bases. XY saturating his third. Banshee still not uncloaked yet. Was that because of a lack of energy? No. Uncloaks it at the last second. And we will see this Overlord fall. Meanwhile, +1/+1 starting for our Terran player, as well as Combat Shield. Stim should already be finished. We're getting into Siege Tank production. Meanwhile, we're going to see our +1/+1, actually +1 melee starting for our Zerg. Hydraling Bane is going to be the composition, it seems. Yeah, and there we go. We got a couple of Roaches from that earlier push, but we've really made the transition into the mid game with these Hydras. Hellions putting in some work, getting 5 drone kills. The position on the Hellions between the minerals and the gas means that they are going to stay alive much longer. Not quite able to get the surround there with the Zerglings. And we see a 4th command center being started on the other side of the map by our Terran player in the red pajamas. Got an armory coming out so we can get our +2/+2 upgrades. Baneling Nest coming in. A bit late on the Baneling Nest, but I guess it's better late than never. Normally you really love to see the Baneling Nest come out right around the same time as the lair finishes. So that way they both finish at the same time and you can get that Baneling speed. But there we saw in the early game, MeomaikA wanted to be aggressive with those roaches, and we see 4 drones going down, not quite able to hit the Banshee as it is cloaked. And the Overseer has caught up down to half health is the Banshee, and we see some more drones going down. Ooh, the Banshee's very close. The Queen not quite able to pick it off. Getting some more drones, 9 drones total. This Banshee has totally paid for itself. Now, that did happen later on in the game, however. MeomaikA could be at 80 drones, but 70 isn't that far off of it. And making an extra 10 drones on 4 base economy isn't so much a challenge, especially if you're getting your good Queen injects. It isn't the end of the world. 10 drone losses. Now, we do see a base being taken. We have a 5th base, and it looks like XY was going to go for this 12 o'clock base, but is deciding to take the forward position instead. Creep being spread all the way through the middle of the map. And that is one thing. Being very active with the Hellions and with the Banshees, XY has not once gone across the map with the intention of spreading creep. It looks like we're gearing up for a push. We have a ton of Banelings, a ton of Zerglings, and quite a few Hydras grouping up together, setting up the surround. It will be a push, and in fact will be a wall of Zerg just crashing into Terran. We are dropping a couple of frames even. Massive engagement. Terran just falling everywhere. So many Marines have died. Tanks falling, 13 SCVs, but the Planetary Fortress has stayed alive. And the Planetary staying alive there is a big deal, because if we look at the units lost tab, it was massively in favor for our Red Terran. So a push like that only really pays for itself if you can get the Planetary. And it looks like MeomaikA wants to press the gas on this Planetary once again, knowing that he did kill most of the tanks. However, we have a pre-spread group of Marines. Zerglings, Hydras, and Banes are all going to approach from one side. There will not be that same surround. Massive splash damage on the groups of Banelings. And once again, this Planetary will survive. Pulling everything back to the mouth of the natural, gonna get that +2 attack finish, gonna get a ton more Banelings out. I wonder what that SCV was doing. I thought he was going for an expansion there for a second. Got some Hydras about to swing around from the right side, see what they can get done, see what they can see. But I don't really think they went up the ramp, couldn't see anything. Maybe drew a little bit of XY's army slightly out of position. But with this being a Planetary Fortress, even if you draw the entire army out of position to go for a Zergling run-by, for that matter, nothing would really be accomplished by it. A Planetary Fortress by itself can hold its own very well against Zerglings. Fifth base being taken by our Terran. Meanwhile, we have some scrapping going on to the right side of the map. Looks like some dead Zerglings, possibly being killed by this here siege tank and this here Planetary. Meanwhile, most of the army has been in this forward base. Another command center. You love to see the command center explosion, if you will, around the time you get the 5th base, scanning the main base just to see what's there. But yes, you love to see that planetary explosion. Wow, I meant to say command center explosion, but the planetary just blew up a massive attack from MeomaikA there, taking out the planetary fortress in just one fell swoop. And XY really needs to get all of his SCVs from that 4th over to that 5th base location. It's a little bit more tucked away. However, we have Zerglings running into it, going to deal some extra damage. After losing a planetary, you really don't want to be losing any SCVs like that. And just like that, we see 9 SCVs going down. And MeomaikA, although being in a very behind position, looks like he's really trying to fight and try to take control back of the game. Creep still hasn't been denied in the middle of the map. We would love to see another push up here and up here, really surrounding, but that's not what we're going to see. Instead, we are going to see Terran going straight across the map with these drops, going to drop right next to the 5th base of our Zerg, but not going to make the drop happen. There are too many Zerglings, there are too many Banelings, and this will be driven away. His army being very protective of this 5th base. And also we got a clump of overlords, some hydras, some lings, infestation pit. Do we see a hive yet? Yes, we do. A hive is almost finishing. So is building armor and high-sec auto-tracking, but we do have a fight happening at this 5th base. Siege tank shelling everything at the Zerg. From a tucked away position, however, Zergling's going to overwhelm that position. Siege tanks are going to begin falling. That bio has no room to retreat. Banelings and Zerglings, however, are going to be on hold position, and the bio is able to escape. The bio is able to escape because the Zerglings and Banelings were all on hold position. That could have been massive for MeomaikA. Now, we do get some Baneling connections, however, the Zerglings are being meat shields, and the Marauders are still able to pick off more Banelings while they're just rolling around in circles. We see ghosts are out for XY, and XY is really pressing into the crook between the 4th and 5th base. We see more Zerglings, we see more Hydras, we see more Banelings, but the Liberators, the tanks, the bio is just too much for MeomaikA to really hold on to. Baneling getting a good connection, almost killing some ghosts, but almost isn't doing it, and that's it. I think that's it. MeomaikA has some Zerglings, he has some Hydras, but against that Liberator and then the tank sieging up, that base is going to fall, and that is GG. Our Chinese Terran in the red pajamas takes it. That is Invictus Gaming's XY taking that game. What a beautiful Zerg versus Terran. In the beginning, we see MeomaikA really trying to take control over the pace of the game, but XY at the end was just a little bit too solid and managed to hold out and got that push that killed the 5th. What a wonderful ZVT. Anyways, if you enjoyed this, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And that is all for me. Overgis, signing out.